outside.
Because what this quote is saying, I'll just share this quote again. It's saying, it's almost, he says later on that he's not saying that it's a plan. He says it's trial and error. But here it almost sounds like it's a plan. It's a conspiracy theory. You know, that the rich have come up with all these basic jobs. They're all saying, you employ them doing this and you employ them doing that, and we'll all take a hit in our labor costs. We'll all spend a bit more money than we want to, just so we keep everybody busy with bullshit jobs and prevent a revolution.
No,
and
I don't.
And I don't think that's the case.
No.
But I do think this part, on the other hand, the feeling that work is a moral value in and of itself, and this idea of the Protestant work ethic,
Right,
that is definitely true. And that's a major factor in where these bullshit jobs come from. But that goes back through the monetary system, because the way we get money to people in the real world is through, we tell banks to lend to companies so they will hire workers, then the workers will get wages. And that's that's the main way the government tries to get money to people to fund the consumer economy. So supply precedes demand in the way that we're doing it. And that's,
and also though, housing loans and car loans and consumer loans and all of the money that you were talking about before, Austin, on credit cards and everything, people are actually replacing debt with income, and therefore they're building up this huge debt. And while the interest rates are really low, this whole thing now of the banks just being given free rein to no longer have to be concerned about the borrower, it's all the responsibility of the borrower now. We're just completely re-establishing all of the bad behaviours that are going to take us to the next, collapse, because there's no incentive for a bank to not lend, because they know behind them is the government sitting to catch the ball at the very end. And at the front, if people take out loans, they're going to be paying high interest, or they're going to be paying interest and upfront costs and all that sort of stuff. They'll get their bonuses, and if it all goes bad down the track, too bad,
And so there used to be an expression. You owe the bank $1 million, you're in trouble. Owe the bank $1 billion, the bank's in trouble. Now I think it's, if you owe the bank $1 billion, the government's in trouble.
That's right.
The banks have dodged, get it both ways, right? There's the too big to fail phenomenon. Yeah. Stephen.
I think, pertaining to the moral value, can you be a good adult citizen without a job? It's that simple. Can you be a good citizen, like a good adult, a respectable, if you don't have a job?
Well, see, I mean, my immediate desire is to say, well, what about raising kids or something like that? And to see, that's something that our society
yes or no. If you don't have a job, are you a good adult?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, human life is actually, human life and human experience is really the foundation of why I back UBI, right? Like our life is finite. Okay, even if we spend our life drinking wine, like fucking or whatever else, right? It's human life, it's human experience. Okay, why should we waste this, in jobs doing something that is a waste of our finite time on the planet? Really, that's the foundation behind behind my job elimination, tendencies and everything else.
I agree. I think when I say equality is a good, I think freedom is also a good. And freedom from the need to work is a kind of freedom. And work done without the gun of poverty to your head is more noble than work done because otherwise you'll get kicked out on the street.
Yeah, but that's not how it works, is it? Like, if you're unemployed, what's your situation? Do people look up to you?
No, they don't. Josh.
Is the question, is that the way we want things to be, or is that the question? Sorry, is the question the way things currently are? I'm confused about what you're saying, Stephen.
Yeah, I was just saying, what's your initial emotional? I know you want to support UBI and all people are good, but what's your initial kind of gut reaction? An adult
gut reaction is yes, everybody has value.
They're a good.
It doesn't matter if you're working or not.
I think probably unemployed people are better than employed people. Actually, is my gut reaction, is that the people who don't fit into the institutional mold are probably actually have a stronger sense of morals and a stronger a more distinct and interesting personality, and that's why this is sort of self-defense here. That's why they don't, just well, because jobs actually require you to be stupid, and jobs actually require you to be a conformist, and jobs require you to kiss the boss's ass and make the boss feel smart even when the boss is an idiot. And that, I was working once at a call center. This is another charity job, so not the worst thing. And I was being trained, doing the training session, and they said the script was that we were learning was just a donation of just $100 could give meals for 1,000 children. And I said, so is that one meal each for 1,000 children, or is it multiple meals for 1,000 children? Because clearly, because the phrase was ambiguous, and I was just wanting clarity on what I was actually selling. Boom, fired. Right? And George Orwell talks about it in 1984. He talks about one of his, Winston Smith, the main character, as a co-worker who's really dedicated to the party and loves the party and is working about it. But he talks. He says, he goes, "You see too clearly, you think too clearly, and you speak too plainly. So we know that you're going to go." And so all institutions have an element of Orwellianism to them. You've got to sort of, you've got to not just show up. You've got to act like you love being there. There's an element of dishonesty required to be part of a big institution. So, and the bigger the institution, the more perverse that becomes. Where it's not just enough to show up and do your job. You've got to act like you love it, which is being dishonest. So I actually think probably unemployed people are slightly better on average than employed people.